Hey guys, the time has come where I update you on my decision on them shocks. This video is more for the regulars. Quick little rewind. I went with 4600s that I use on my working rigs. If you're new to this channel, I got a lot of these vehicles. Well, I run north of 20 of these Ram pickup trucks in the hot shot operation. And for my personal rig, which this is it, I went from stock, so obviously I wanted to do something better and get me a upgrade. So I went with 4600s. Now, that's the video I made that I went back to stocks. The problem with the 4600s that I had is in 2015, I was driving a 14, did a lot of research, and I came to the conclusion this is the part number I want to run in my work rigs, and I run them, and they are fabulous. The valving, the length, everything, they're fabulous shocks with the part number I use for the 4600s, and they work well. They really suck when you're empty. Just not enough weight. So with those, you know, with me being empty 90, you know, nowadays like 95% of the time, I don't haul anywhere near like I used to. It's annoying. So I went back to a stock shock. Being the time that we were in back there, I couldn't get my hands on for jack squat on any parts. Everything was sold out and back ordered. Better get going. So with that, I went ahead and just stuck with my stock shock since I have them on hand, and I loved it. I absolutely loved the way it rode stock. No complaints whatsoever. On the suspension, all that I've changed is I've changed out the front springs. I gave it another 1.75 inches, so quote-unquote leveling, but it still sits raked, and that's just the way I like my trucks. That being that, drove around for a while, and I started doing my research, hunting down the parts that I wanted. So I went on Bilstein. By the way, the shocks I showed you are 5100 Bilsteins. I like Bilsteins. Back to what I was saying. I did some research. I found the specific part number that Bilstein recommends, or should I say the application for this truck was. Kept hunting for them. They're out of stock. And then one day I was able to find in two different locations, the fronts and the rears, and I did the action in the description. I'll put in the part numbers so you don't have to go there. It's not a big deal. You just go to, like, I think Bilstein Lifts or something like that, and you'll get the part number there. That's how I got it. But yeah, I'll put it in this video in the description. So with that in mind, guys, these are the shocks that I absolutely love it. What the stocks couldn't handle is the heavy, the big pothole, the washboard, something of heavier duty, if you could call it that for a shock. They absolutely sucked. But every day, daily driving, they're phenomenal. They're soft. Now, what's the verdict with these 5100s? They're not harsh. They're not stiff, but they're more composed. So these small bumps, they have very little tolerance, so the whole stock free playing suspension kind of feel, I'm not saying it was loose, you're going down the road like a caddy with blown shocks, but it's more snug, if I could say it that way. The empty driving down the road, the suspension's more snug. It's not rough, it's just snug. You know, you could feel that compression in those shocks, and they work phenomenally when you're empty, but they really shine is when you're loaded, or should I say when you're doing some heavy, you know, higher speed washboard, you're towing something. They're fabulous. So this is my choice of shock. I don't have very good experience with Fox shocks. I mean, it was so poor, I never gave them another shot. Let's just leave it at that. Is it rightfully so or no? I'll leave that alone too. But I did try Kings. I really like the Kings. I had a 19 crew cab long bed. Kings are really good shocks. I had really good experience, but one. They don't last long. Those Kings start leaking fairly quick. For a year, I had 3 out of my 4 King shocks leaking. No, I don't do anything crazy. I don't abuse my trucks. All I did is I towed with it, and a little bit. I'm talking maybe 4 weekends wheeling, just, I mean, I can't even call it wheeling. It's just a back road country, you know, sweeps and a little bit of off-road. Other than that, every day just driving Spokane roads with a bunch of potholes. I mean, that's pretty hard on your suspension. But don't get me wrong, I love those shocks, those King shocks. If you have to have an awesome off-road experience, or should I say you live out in the country, I would always buy Kings. But for me, I like Bilstein because their longevity is so much better than Kings. So this is the sweet spot for me. I feel like this is the shock that most of the guys on the road should be running, because the way they handle. Now, not to discredit Fox, don't get me wrong. It's not like I never saw Fox shock. I never dealt with them. I have family and friends that ran them. I've test drove their vehicles when they're stock. I test drove them when they had the Fox shocks, and I have a pretty good idea. Fox has no problem. My experience wasn't the quality of the shock as far as the performance that it delivers. My problem was it went to crap. Within a year, those shocks were destroyed. They were leaking bad. You know, the Kings that I'm talking about, they were seeping, should I say. They showed signs of leakage. They're just weeping, whatever. Some moisture on the exterior of them, right? But that's the Kings. That was my 3 out of 4. You know, they're showing signs of leakage. They're not dripping or anything. Those Fox in a year, they were shot. They're on a Ford F350. And yeah, within a year. And man, mind me, dude, this guy doesn't off-road. This guy is my brother-in-law. He doesn't do anything of that nature, but they were done. My personal experience with them was a 99 Ram. Shoot, what exactly happened? I know they broke. I don't remember the whole story on that one. Anyways, I'll leave it alone. Long story short, guys, the sweet spot are Bilsteins. Figure, right? I looked elsewhere and I came right back to where I started 7 years ago with my research for good heavy duty, or should I call them reliable shocks for my work rigs. Keep in mind, all my trucks haul goosenecks. That's all they ever do. So, you know, that pin weight. And anyways, they work phenomenally for us. We run the 4600s in the work rigs, the 5100s. I run them, work them in my overland vehicle. I have a Yukon, an 02 Yukon. I run those in there, and then absolutely love them there. So they kind of look cool. They give it that cool up here. I like the tube. Anyways, I guess it needs to perform well before it looks cool, right? Anyways, guys, that's my story. This is the shock that's staying in this truck. Some of you guys are curious, some of them care less. This video isn't for everyone, clearly, but for you guys that are curious what I settled on, this is it. Anyways, as always, may the Lord bless you. May Almighty find day. Ciao, bye.